I have been a solo traveler for a long time, used to be on vacations, but since I became a full-time traveler in 2018, I have now been to 27 countries by myself, including South Africa, including several countries in South America, where I spent 6 months traveling by myself by bus, apart from meeting up with people where sometimes I got to travel with a fellow traveler for a bit. But most of my travel has been solo. Now, I know that those of you that may be considering solo travel, whether that be a vacation, whether that be full-time travel, you probably have solo traveler safety concerns. So in this video, I wanted to give you 7 tips on traveling safely as a solo traveler. These tips apply to you whether you are male, female, or wherever you are on the spectrum, but I have found these tips have kept me able to travel safely, and I basically took on a set of rules for myself that I live by, and they have been great. And I do advise that, listen to my tips, take them in and use the ones that work for you, and just make sure wherever you are in the world, just abide by the same safety tips so that you stay safe. Tip number 1, whenever I get to a new place, the first thing I do, even if it's supposedly the safest place on earth, I did this even in New Zealand, which is one of those really generally safe places, I ask wherever I'm staying if there is a known area of town that is dangerous, that I should avoid. I also ask whether I should be home by a certain time. Is it safe to be wandering around by myself after dark? So always ask wherever you're staying, if that's the Airbnb owner, the hotel staff, if you're renting from someone, they're generally going to be a local living there. Make sure that you ask the question, are there any known dangerous areas to be avoided? And what's it like for you alone at night? Tip number 2, generally speaking, as in some parts of the world, you need to be home by dark. So taking tip number 1, Cape Town, for example, they told me very specific safety protocols. Even during the day, there were areas to be avoided, and I wasn't to walk more than like 3 blocks from the hotel. I was supposed to get a taxi if I wanted to go further than that. So getting home by dark may be something you need to do. So certainly in Cape Town, I exercise that, and in parts of the world where or if I were in places that I wasn't quite sure about, I was just always home by dark, especially if the crowd is thinning and there's not a lot of people around. Being home by dark is a really smart thing to do. Tip number 3, safety gadgets. So I always travel with some sort of door lock. Now that could be like one of those rubber kind of apparatuses that you stick under the door, which doesn't always work because depending on the door, depending on whether you're dealing with a wood floor or a carpet, that's why I carry a couple of things. So that could be one, a door wedge. Another thing is a device which could hang over your doorknob so that if someone tries to turn the knob while you are sleeping, this loud alarm will go off, although it can be screechingly loud and be an alarm that annoys everybody, so consider that. But that can be a warning. And I recently purchased something that you can kind of jam into the door lock system. So basically, if someone else had a key to your place, even in a hotel, they wouldn't be able to open the door because this apparatus would basically keep the door shut. Those are ideas of things that you can carry with you that generally, hopefully, won't be used against you. Like, if you use like some sort of spray that could get in your eyes. So these are things that are tools that you can carry with you that will be helpful, just again to add to your feeling of safety. Tip number 4, pay extra for safety. So if you're staying somewhere that has certain areas that are better than others, I would recommend that you pay that extra money to stay in places in the better neighborhood. So, when I went to Lima, Peru, I understood that there were sort of areas that were better for tourists to stay and areas that were worse for tourists to stay. And as I'm a solo traveler, I just stayed in the better area. So, of course, as you're budgeting for your travel, just make sure that you understand that, of course, safer areas, the accommodation might be more expensive, but your safety is always worth it. And in addition to the accommodation, the transportation too. So it's worth it to pay for the taxi if that is going to make sure that you're safer than taking, say, the bus or the subway. So pay attention to all those things, do your research, and absolutely pay extra for safety if that's going to make a difference. Tip number 5, watch your drinking. So generally speaking, I do not drink by myself if I'm out, and if I do, then I sometimes, if I stay at a place that has a bar downstairs, I might drink there, or I might get a bottle of wine or something and bring it to where I'm staying and just stay in and drink it that way. But otherwise, generally speaking, I don't do a lot of drinking alone, because if your wits are dimmed, that is a potential danger for you. And on that note, do not ever drink with people that you don't know. So when you're traveling, you just not a good idea, because you meet a bunch of great people, and you use your intuition. That's like a really key component of all of these things, and underlying all the advice I'm giving here, your intuition will always guide you on whether you should go left or right, whether you should drink with this person or not, whether you should get the taxi. All that stuff underlying, right, is down to the intuition. Because of course you will meet people who are awesome, and probably you'll know whether you can trust somebody or not by your intuition. But especially if you are meeting with someone of the opposite gender and you might be romantically interested, just be aware of what you're drinking and where the drink came from. And it's just, generally speaking, I don't accept drinks from strangers, and don't put yourself in a situation where you are out somewhere alone in a neighborhood you don't know and suddenly drinking with a bunch of strangers. Like, all of that, don't do that, so that you can stay safe if you're a solo traveler. Tip number 6, have a safety check-in buddy. So one of the things that's great about solo travel is you'll probably meet, like I said, some awesome people. And while you're full-time traveling and you meet other people that are full-time traveling and you go your separate ways, it's great to check in. So I for a long period of time when I was in South America, I met a wonderful woman, and we checked in. We let each other know, like, tomorrow I'm traveling to this place. And then we would let each other know when we had arrived at that place. Now, that check-in person might be a friend from home. It might be your family. But sometimes you may not want to bother them with all this stuff. So having a fellow traveler that you meet too, or have both, is really great, so that somebody knows where you are, somebody knows where you are going, and somebody knows that you arrived safely. So whoever that person or those persons are, really great to have that check-in buddy and just keep each other apprised. And of course, if you are using somebody that you meet on your travels, good idea to also exchange emergency contacts. So God forbid one of you misses a check-in, you know who to notify, so that people can be aware that you didn't check in when you were supposed to. So that check-in buddy can be really, really important. The 7th and final tip I have for you is make eye contact, not eye contact. So when you are out on the street, look at people, notice your surroundings, notice the people that are around. Do not be focusing on your phone. Of course, and you don't want to display expensive jewelry, and you don't want to, if you have a great cell phone, just generally speaking, like, don't be using that a lot. Again, I find that once you're in a location for a period of time, something happens where you feel more at ease, and locals kind of get used to seeing you, and then something shifts. But until you get to that point, just be very mindful of where you use your technology in public, because you may be looking at your phone and completely miss something going on around you. You may have your device stolen. So that's just why it's good to just be familiar with your surroundings and pay attention, and again, make that eye contact with people and places so that you stay safe. I hope you found my tips helpful. If you did, please hit the like button. And also, you may want to come over to my website at heatherbegins.com, where I have lots of information, resources, travel tips that you can download for free and take a look at. If you are someone that is going to be traveling full-time in the future, make sure that you check out and join our Facebook group, Full-Time Travelers and Nomads, giving you more information and a community of people that you can connect with and collaborate with on your future journeys. Finally, if you're not already a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button, and then you will receive my future videos, and I look forward to giving you more information and more inspiration to travel full-time. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.